Hi Debbie, I'm going to try to walk you through how to set nearpod up and see if this helps you at all. Once you log in with your Office 365 account, you'll have your library here, and you want to create your own lesson in nearpod. And you'll click on that. Now you can add individual slides, but that's a whole lot of work, so I usually just add my PowerPoints that I already have. Oops, didn't mean to do that. So I'm going to drag my PowerPoint here for Unit 7 notes. That's what my kids are going to be working on soon. And it's going to take a few minutes to upload the PowerPoint because my PowerPoint's really long. If it takes a long time, don't worry about it. Just give it time and let it load. Then make sure you give your nearpod a name. And we're going to wait while it processes. While it's still working, I'm going to go ahead and show you how to add a couple things. So you have add content, add web content, and add activity. These are things that your kids can do while they're in the nearpod, but if you want them to, oh, there's the PowerPoint. If you want them to see something where you see the results, you're going to add the activity. And there's something called Time to Climb. That one's a game, so that one might not be best to add for them to work on at home. Adding an open-ended question. I usually start my genetics unit with something like, look at yourself in the mirror. What traits do you see? And then you can add a timer, but at home it's probably not that important that they do that. You add this slide in here, or this activity, and it went all the way down here to the bottom, but I really want it up here at the top. So I click and drag until I get it to the top. And then I'll show you in a minute what that looks like. We're going to add some of each of these so you can see. So open-ended question, the students just write you back an answer. The other one I like to add is matching pairs. This one's pretty easy, especially if you have vocab. You could do something like match the term to the definition. And you'll add a pair like a trait is a physical characteristic, and a gene would be genetic information coded in DNA. So I have two pairs there. I'm going to save that one. Again, it goes to the bottom and I want it at the top, so I just drag it up to the top. This time, I'm going to right click here in between these two slides and say that I want to add activity, and then it won't go all the way down to the bottom. You can add in quizzes. Those are good to go at the end of some content, or draw it. I'll show you one of each here. We'll do a quiz, question number 1. Okay, I'm just going to add 2 questions. Now see, my quiz went right there. And right here, I'm going to add another slide this time. Add an activity. And draw it. right, let's add some. There's a couple other things. I wouldn't recommend using Collaborate if they're doing it at home because that works best when you do it as a whole class activity. You could add a poll to ask them what their favorite thing is, give them some answers and see what they respond to. Fill in the blanks. These are fun. So you type in a paragraph. You can type in a lot of stuff. So you type it in first, and then you're going to click on the word that you want to be the blank. So I'm going to have these two words. And then I'll show you when we get to it what that looks like. Oops. Now I'm going to add some content. I want to add a virtual field trip. Let's say we want to search Wuhan, China, since that's on top of everybody's mind right now. Let's look at this park. Oh, here we go, nearpod 3D. So if you wanted your kids to see the full body, or let's look at the respiratory system. Do that one. Then we can also add web content. That's what I was trying to do. Always test your link, make sure it takes you to something. Okay. If you add a slideshow, what you're doing is putting some of these PowerPoint slides together in a slideshow. It's not really necessary to do from home. It works sometimes if you're doing stuff in class. There are other options on here, but these are the ones that I use most often. I'm going to move it up here to the top with the rest of these. Okay. Now I'm going to save this. You have to tell it what it's for. I already had one with that same name. Okay, and then I'll show you what it looks like from the teacher view and the student view. All right, so what you want to do if you're going to do this from home is you want the students to do it student paced. Live lesson is if you are right there with them, and when you change the slide, it changes the slide on all of the students' devices. But if you're not going to do it live with them, it needs to be student paced, and then that lets the kids go through the slides at their own pace. And when you click on student paced, it will give you this 5-digit code, and it's good for 30 days. You can give the code to the students and tell them just to go to Nearpod and put in the code. A lot of them already know how to do it because they use it for a lot of their other classes. Or you can send them the link. You can also embed it into Schoology. I'll show you how to do that in a minute. But there's the code. That's what you're going to give them, and your presentation is done. If you make changes to your presentation, once you send that code out to the students, that makes your code invalid, and you'd have to send the students another code. I'm going to do a live lesson here, and I can show you both the student and the teacher view. Okay, there's the code. The kids would put that in. And then in the live lesson, when I click this slide, it changes the slide for the students. This is what the students see on their end. And then they would be able to type an answer here and submit it. Then on the teacher end, what you see is the student's name and what answer that they have submitted. And it's not going to sort it by class period unless you give each class period a separate code. But if you tell them to put their names in, you'll be able to see their answers. The same thing for each of these activities. So if you have them do the matching, it'll tell you how many matches they got, which should be 100, and how many tries it took them to get 100% of the matches correct. On the quiz, it'll show you the student's name, how many they got correct, what answer they put for each question. It will also show you this over here. It tells you how many students have answered and what the percentage was correct and incorrect. If they drew, this one was the drawing slide, you would actually have pictures of drawings there for them to see. Fill in the blank doesn't give you any information to know if they got it right or wrong. So there's not really anything to build off of from a teacher standpoint. That was your virtual field trip. This is what the 3D activity looks like. We put the lungs in there so the students would be able to move around, see the lungs, see the trachea. Still in student view, this is the virtual field trip to Wuhan. And they can rotate around to see what this spot looks like. It doesn't let you walk, so you can only see from one stationary spot. This is what they see on the fill in the blank. So they drag and drop. And they say, yay, they got all their questions right. Draw a head with attached earlobes. So there's the head. There's the attached earlobes. The opposite is to have unattached earlobes where it goes back up, but attached earlobes go down. Up here it says a widow's peak hairline. Dimples. And an indented chin. Whew, that's a nice looking person there, isn't it? Here's what the quiz looks like for them. What's your favorite subject at school? What's your least favorite subject? The video, you're not going to have this option if it is student-paced, but usually when I use this in class as live lesson, I'll play it just on one device so everybody's not sharing the same device. And then here's the rest of the slides that I had them work through. Back to the teacher view. Once you do all this with your students, you'll be able to see results. I don't think I have any right now that would still have data available for them, but I'll check really quick. Over on the side, it said reports. Okay, here's a report from Oh, only one person did that. Let's try this one. So here's the report. I can see the work that the students did. There was one question, and I can see who answered, what their response was, and then it tells me 85% got it correct, and 4 got it wrong, and 11 did not answer. I didn't have any poll questions. There were 2 open-ended questions. Here's my student response. It doesn't tell me if they're right or wrong. It just tells me that they did respond. Here's my drawings. I asked them to draw a picture of ATP. Looks like we skipped that question. Let's see if I had them draw. There we go. I had them draw a graph so I can see what their graphs are. When I click on them, I can see a little bit bigger. See how they did their graph. Matching pairs. They didn't complete that one. I didn't have any collaborators. I didn't have any of those. So that was it. That's what we did. But under reports, then you see if the students did it, if they participated, and how well they did. And that's under reports. That's it. That's my quick little tutorial on Nearpod. The easiest thing, like I said, is to make sure that you have a PowerPoint that's already been made somewhere else, and you're just going to import your PowerPoint into Nearpod. If you try to make all the slides in Nearpod itself, it takes a really long time to do all that work. If you have any other questions, let me know. If I missed anything, let me know. I'll be happy to help.